records. It's a handful. And they just rate different in different papers.
I have a question completely separate from any assertions the IPCC said or Al Gore or any of that, which is on a separate level, if there is flooding anywhere in the world, how is flooding traditionally caused?
One thing, certainly there are floodings. I mean, the Earth coasts are not stable. I mean, in Stockholm is going up with 0.5 meter per century because that's the uplift memory from the Ice Age. If you go to Bangkok area where they are subtracting both water and gas and so, and they are loading a lot of sediments in the delta, this causes subsidence, and you cannot do very much about it. You can start to fill the excavated water, for example. In part of Japan, Niigata area, for example, they have very, very strong subsidence of the area. But that is the land which is subsiding. It's just because they take out water, very much water, and there. And of course, then the sediment shrinks also. So this is a strong factor, but they are local phenomena, which you, so to say, cannot do anything about. And the local we have to take by on the low. Then there come this global tendency that we should be superimposed on this. This is a global tendency. We have Holland, the Netherlands. The Netherlands have been subsiding for 400 million years.
When you say subsiding, can you explain what you mean by that to those of us who...
is going down with respect to the Earth's center, we could say.
Okay.
So, and then if water is being constant, then of course the thing will be that the water is flooding over the land. But that's a subsidence. So, for example, we know that the Netherlands is subsiding with 0.4 millimeter per year. And if the figures of the sea level rise, which they are saying, would be correct, then Holland would be uplifted. And that's nonsense. I mean, it's not uplifted. It had always been subsiding. So how could they say that those figures are absurd? They don't conquer with what we know in reality. Place after place. We have Venice. Venice is a wonderful cultural place which we don't want to be flooded, but it's sitting on edge of a delta. So it's slowly subsiding, and we have a wonderful trend thanks to some camera obscura figures from 1740. We have a wonderful trend of the subsidence up to today. And any change in sea level there would be exaggerated. So we would pick it up so very simply and so clearly. And we don't see it. There is no sea level rise. And in 1970, it was even the opposite. It has little to do with engineering things, but there's at least no rise. So all this has to be taken together and compared. And if you have, for example, the satellite altimetry in French Guyana, it should rise by 3 millimeters per year, says the map. But they have a wonderful long record of 50 years. And we have the tidal cycles, perfectly symmetric, and they're zero. So you see, we have to go back to the wells, to the sources, and check them. And then sea level is not rising. And of course, I cannot help that I used to finish some lectures by saying the sea is not rising. That means that the main threat is gone. And you can also, as a joke, I did that in Academy of Science, Russian Academy of Science in 2005. The tiger has lost its teeth. And maybe it was not even a tiger, just
a kitty cat,
blown up balloon dummy. And that is
Maybe it was just a kitty cat.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I have a question about satellite telemetry. Who controls it? When you rely on satellite telemetry, who controls it?
Oh, that is both in France and in America, in NOAA, in Boulder. And they're doing a very good work. But first you have the satellite, and they're going around and around, and you measure the distance between the satellite and the sea surface. And then you can compute it and so, and you get a figure, and that has to be calibrated for atmospheric variations and so on. All those physical calibrations, when they have been done, there is, as far as when I do it, it's 0 rise. But then they add, without telling it, a calibration picture, which I call a personal calibration, so they get a trend. And that trend it gives then something which C is going up and down around. But much of that could, of course, be, as they said, expansion due to some heating. But when you check it, when you check the data in the Maldives, it doesn't work. When you check it in French Guyana, it doesn't fit. When you check it in the Mediterranean region, you don't fit. And there you can see the only factor which is make a large change in the altimetry. That is really precipitation and evaporation. You can see the water from the big rivers, Volga and Don, going into the Black Sea and rising sea level. And from that, it's going out to the East Mediterranean, flooding that area. So it had nothing to do with any global sea level effect. That's a local precipitation effect. So all these, but if you don't analyze it that way, you run into problems. And as soon as they get the trend, they are satisfied. I accused them at a meeting in the Russian Academy of Science that this is not measured. You have inferred that from outside. You shouldn't do that. And then one man stood up. We spoke fairly rapidly, so he fell out of thinking. So he stood up and he said, yes, but we had to do it. Otherwise we wouldn't have got a trend. So then I stopped it and said, did you hear what you just said? It was exactly that I'm accusing you for. And you see, that's the type, the way of working. And scientists doesn't work like that. We have to be sure about it.
Are you sad about what's happening?
Yeah. I'm the largest sadness is because of the reputation of science. I'm trying to say we have to restore the scientific values, and this is a big thing. This is a real, so to say, sad thing. It's really remarkable also that so many people can be fooled. That makes a danger of. If you can fool them this way, I mean, the whole community could be fooled to anything. We know that from previous, when nations are in war, usually there are some central group which fool the other to take arms and run somewhere. But here it's scientists. It makes the whole society so fragile, and that makes me feel sad, yes. For the scientific part, I am also of course, when it's the fight, I'm a bit amused, I have to say, because I know what I'm talking about.
If you could do a few things, let's say you had the next year to educate the world about how the sea levels really work, what would you do?
Yeah, I think it would be nice to show those critical areas. Go there with a camera or something like that. I was interviewed in the Maldives, and there's a very nice Danish movie on this. Doomsday Called Off, it was called. But Bangladesh has very nice